The virtue signalers in Hollywood are back at it with blatant hypocrisy. There's a whole festival in Saudi Arabia right now where they're performing essentially for the Saudi government. And if you know anything about Saudi Arabia, it's an actual authoritarian shithole. I'll just go ahead and say right up front, for me, there's kind of two sliding scales on the level of hypocrisy here. One is how much money do they actually have already? I think this is a much worse look for the stand-up comedians like Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, who all have generational wealth already in the bank, no shortage of jobs that they want, as opposed to smaller stand-up comedians who are still having to work just to live or maintain their lifestyle. And the other scale is how annoying are they? How much do they whine about free speech? Say we live in Nazi Germany, we're living under a fascist regime. And I'll just go ahead and say right up front, if I was offered money from some authoritarian regime, depending on what the stipulations were, I'd probably take it too. So I'm not completely judging them for this. It's more just annoying. And I don't do meta stuff too much, so I'll try to keep this short. I prefer just to talk about media, but this was so blatantly hypocritical to me that I at least wanted to discuss it. I think what makes it so much annoying to me is how much of this preaching is just injected into stand-up now, into Hollywood in general, TV shows, movies. And then the second they can get a payday from an actual dictatorship in a country where there's actually slavery, where they're executing people every single day, sometimes to silence them, sometimes just because. Obviously, they kill many journalists, they throw gay people off rooftops, all the shit that most people in the Western world oppose, and that many of these celebrities will say are in danger in the US or Europe. One of the worst offenders for this is Bill Burr. He's always tried to come across as kind of an edgy comedian and speaking truth to power and all the shit they claim. He spends a lot of time in his podcast bitching about rich people, which of course he's a multimillionaire. So he bitches about billionaires, just like all good elites do who want to sound like they're one of the people. He has no problem calling rich Americans evil.
They're horrible, heartless people. It's just like, I don't know, should you pay your workers?
And then not only doing this performance in Saudi Arabia, but following it up by essentially running a fucking PR campaign for them. It's hilarious in a sad way to me for him to be like, oh, they're just like us. I thought they were going to be screaming death to America and trying to behead me. Meanwhile, he's married to a very open and active feminist. We already know from other people who were offered to perform there about the restrictions that were in place. Pretty much anything anti the Saudis or their beliefs was off limits. And it would be one thing if you thought, I'm going to go over there and try to push back on their culture and sort of open the doors to the ideas of a Western liberal society. But they're really just taking a big fat fucking paycheck and keeping their head down. You got Dave Chappelle saying shit like he's more free to speak in Saudi Arabia than he is in America, which is obviously just fucking asinine when they had a list of things they weren't allowed to talk about. And he's used his platform numerous times to go on big monologues about politicians in America and just call them pieces of shit over and over. And there's a sort of funny irony there that the people trying to silence him the most are the ones who are opposed to his trans jokes, which are obviously on his side of the political spectrum. I mean, it's just pitiful to me. Like, you're worth $100 million fucking dollars. He can get tens of millions from Netflix whenever he wants to put another hour of material together, I'm sure. If he wanted to go do his own show again, he'd have no problems. It's just so annoying to listen to people who've achieved tremendous success compared to anyone in the world currently, let alone historically, whine about the place that allowed them to have that success, and then also bend over for actual fucking authoritarians. A couple of the weirdest ones to me in this regard are Jessica Kirson, who's a lesbian. Obviously, she's a woman, which I would imagine most people are aware of the way that women are treated in the Middle East as a whole. But on top of that, she's Jewish. So she's got like the triple threat going. Now, to be fair to her, she actually did say she regretted it and took the money she made from there, is going to donate to whatever organization here. But it does make you wonder why she accepted in the first place. Maybe she just really needs the money. I don't know. And to me, the weirdest by far, without looking into every single stand-up comedian, is probably Pete Davidson, whose dad was a firefighter and died in the September 11th attacks, which were orchestrated by the Saudis. And he's another dude who is very wealthy. He's been around for a long time. He's got no shortage of career success and money. And of course, you have people who are more right-wing in general, or at least pro-free speech, like Tim Dillon, like Whitney Cummings and Tom Segura and Andrew Schultz, and all these people who bitch about cancel culture, who seem to have a pretty high degree of success already. I doubt they're all right wing, but at least Tim Dillon is. And I'm pretty sure Tim Dillon is gay. Obviously, homosexuality is not tolerated over there. I at least respect for him in particular that he just said straight up, they're paying me to not care or to overlook their culture. And of course, you have Jim Jeffries, who just rants about everything. He's crazy far left, quietly just going over there to do his thing for an actual authoritarian regime. It's just all these fucking people. You know, if you want to just do shit for money, that's fine. Just fucking do it for money then. Don't do all the grandstanding. Don't do all the virtue signaling. Tell your fucking jokes. Take your check and stop encouraging political bullshit to be injected into everything. I'm not going to go on too long about this. I just thought it was worth mentioning because it's just so egregious to me and such direct contradiction with all the bullshit that you hear every single day from these people on social media. I try not to do too much meta stuff, but I just thought this was almost to the point of being satire with how hypocritical it was. I'm going to leave it there for this one. Let me know what you think. Try to respond in the comments that are just insults. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks.